Today the Gospel mentions that the disciples were mourning and weeping when Mary Magdalene comes to them. And some other translations say that they were sad. We know that sadness is probably not something that we confess too often because we don't think of it as a sin. I'm just sad. It's a state of mind or a mood at best. But when the 7 deadly sins that we know as such were starting to come in the tradition, sadness was one of them. Because the 7 deadly sins do not appear as like a list of sins in anywhere in Scripture. What happens is that the first monks, who were hermits, they started hearing to people and doing spiritual direction for them. And so they started classifying sins. And the 7 capital sins were more roots of sins than actual actions, sinful actions. And so they gave rise to many other different actions. And the first classification, or the oldest one, comes from a father of the desert called John Cassian, Cassan. And John Cassian includes sadness into one of the deadly sins. Obviously, it's not like an action sin, sadness, but it's something that leads us to sin, to lack of hope, to try and just wanted to give everything up, and that is why the Lord rebukes the disciples, not only for their unbelief but also for their sadness. And sadness and unbelief, sometimes they go together. It's hard to draw the line, but they certainly go together, and they were hopeless. And so being desperate or feeling that there's no hope also comes with that. And many different actions afterwards, because when you're sad, some people drink, some people stop praying, some people compensate with other things. And so sadness is really a dangerous thing. And that's why the Lord says, wake up today in the Gospel. And He rebukes them for their unbelief and hardness of heart. And that is what the resurrection wants to do with us, or should do with us, shake us from our sadness. And that's why this is a season of, most especially, of joy. And that's why joy is something that we can work at. It's not something that, I'm just joyful, like a mood. No, I can work at that. I gotta make an act of faith in the resurrection of Christ, and then the joy comes back to me. I have to foster it, to receive it as well. So let's ask Jesus that we might not receive this rebuke from Him, but that we may be soft at heart and believing, so that we may be also joyful.